I recently gave my back patio a major makeover, and I have shown you kind of the 3 projects that made the biggest difference out here. I'll link that video just in case you missed it. But today I want to take a little bit of a deeper dive onto how to paint a concrete patio, because this is something that I get asked about a ton. I've done it twice now, and it is just such a... The bugs have feelings about this. It is such a simple project that is time intensive but not difficult and truly makes the biggest difference. So today let's take you all the way back to the beginning. I'm going to show you step by step exactly how I got this gorgeous patio painted and what it looks like now. Let's start with the before and all of the prep work that goes into painting a patio. So what we're going to do is we're going to be pressure washing it, getting it as clean as possible. Then we're going to use some muriatic acid to etch it and get it as clean as humanly possible. We'll let it dry until tomorrow, and then tomorrow we will prime and start painting. It's very exciting because this thing has been driving me nuts for nearly a year now. The first and most important step when you're going to be painting a patio is getting it clean. Your paint will not adhere properly to a dirty patio, so I want you to spend way more time than you even think you need to getting the space clean. After an initial sweep of the patio, I spent some time pressure washing. I really like to use the surface attachment to make it a little bit faster. Then it's a quick rinse and some muriatic acid. This helps etch the patio and get it ready to have the paint adhere. Make sure that you rinse it really thoroughly, squeegee off all of the water, and let it dry for at least 24 to 48 hours before you start the next step. If you have any cracks in your concrete like I did, it's a great idea to go ahead and seal those with some concrete sealant before you paint so it's not super obvious in the finished product. Once everything is super clean and dry, you are ready for primer. Just like with a lot of other painting projects, it is a really good idea and always worth the time to go ahead and prime the patio. Concrete can be tricky when it comes to painting, and the primer helps the paint just really grab on better. It's going to help it not peel up, and it really just gives you a more durable and longer lasting product in the end. It's super quick to do. Just pour it on and spread it around. It really only requires about an hour to dry. The one I used needed to be top coated within 4 hours, so keep that in mind while you're working. Once your primer is dry, you are ready to start painting. Now, this is going to depend on the pattern that you end up going with for your patio. I've done a diamond shape before, but this time I really wanted to keep it simple with just one plain color and a border all the way around. So I started by going around with my border color first. As you can see, I decided to paint the part of the concrete that is the foundation of the house, and I just went ahead and kind of outlined a few inches all the way around so that I could do my main color and still have that border already finished. This is an additional step that might not be necessary depending on what you're doing. It is easier, I find, to do this part with a paintbrush than with a roller. Regardless of the pattern you're doing, you are going to want to do that border of the patio first, and then you are ready to start painting with the roller. I was going with a different color than I did for the border, so really all you need to do here is pour it right on, grab your roller with an extension, and start spreading it around. This is really satisfying and fun, and I find that this is definitely the easiest way to do it, but if you are a little more particular than me, you could use a paint tray. As you're working, be sure that you are thoughtful about how you're going to end. You do not want to paint yourself into a corner and be stuck having to walk across wet paint. I did all of the corners and sides of the patio, and then I started at the back end of the patio and worked my way back towards the door so that as I was finished, I could just go inside and let everything dry. I find that after all of the prep work and waiting and drying, this is the most satisfying part of the project because it's really where you get to start seeing it all come together. Especially on a patio like this that's really old and stained, it is so exciting to see all of that grossness get covered up and everything to look fresh and clean again. A little paint goes a longer way than you might expect here, but I did use 1 full gallon to fully cover this entire patio with 2 coats. So it's a very large space. So for most normal sized patios, 1 gallon of porch and floor paint is going to be great for you. Once you've let that first coat dry for whatever time is listed on your paint can, you are ready for a second coat. Go ahead and get that done. And then once you have got the second coat finally finished, you can start adding your details, and that's where things start to get really fun. There are endless different ways that you could add some detail to your patio once you've got that base coat on, but I decided to go with a simple border all the way around. Before you start taping things off, you're going to want to make sure that your paint has had plenty of time to cure. If you're using Frog Tape Advanced like I am here, it needs at least 3 days. You can also use delicate surfaces tape, which I've used in the past. However, I do want to note that it is not technically meant for outside, so that does go against the brand's recommendation. If you have a laser level, that's going to make this so much easier. I don't, so I just used a scrap piece of wood to help me make sure that I kept everything an even spacing from the house all the way around. Once I had my first border done, I used some painter's tape as a little spacer and added another piece of tape all the way around so that I could have just a little bit extra detail. You'll see how that all comes together once we start painting. Be sure to use a razor blade if needed to trim off the excess paint and make sure all of your lines are clean. That's how things looked whenever it was taped. As you can see, if you want my exact pattern, you're gonna do 2 rows of painter's tape, then a spacer, then 1 more row. Now, whenever it comes to painting this next color, you could use a roller and a paint tray. That felt like too much work for me. So I just used a paintbrush, and it probably took a little bit longer, but it was less equipment, less cleanup, and sometimes a paintbrush just feels really satisfying. Since there's not much I love more than a good painting montage, I'm gonna shut up for a second, play you some music, and let you watch it all come together. Once you've got a couple coats of paint on, you are ready to peel that tape. This is easily the most satisfying part of the entire project. Do be prepared that there is a possibility some of the paint will peel up, just depending on what your weather patterns have been like, how long your paint was able to cure. Don't panic if this happens. You can touch it up and it will never be noticeable in the finished product. I promise. It happened to me and it's no big deal. For the best result, you are going to want to peel that tape up as soon as you are done painting to reduce any issues. And here's a look at the finished patio. It is staggering how big of a difference it made and how much cleaner it feels out here. It was 100% worth the effort. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more simple project breakdowns just like this one. I will see you next time.